Hello and welcome back to our weekly GTN Coaches Corner.
Yeah, on this week's show, how to race downhill. Can you do all your sessions in erg mode? Doesn't matter if you have a bathroom break in the middle of your long run, a swim run clothing choice, and do the pros adhere to the 80-20 rule?
Oh yeah, some great questions to come. Make sure you get your questions in using the hashtag GTN Coaches Corner. Before we crack on with the questions though, make sure you give this video a like and subscribe if you're not doing so already.
Yeah, let's get to our questions. The first one is from our friend Jabansky, who asks us lots of questions.
Yeah.
Thanks for keeping them coming. Hashtag GTN Coaches Corner. Greetings, my heroes. Oh, thanks. I recently completed a rather challenging 5K. The last part of the course had some downward slopes. I wanted to speed up, but I was afraid to fall due to fatigue. Is this a matter of me needing to strengthen my legs more, or is there a technique I need to learn? I'd hate to miss a PB out of fear of falling. I would say the answer is both of those things. You need to strengthen your legs for running downhill because it is eccentric loading, and if your legs are tired, you just can't really control. You lose a bit of control because those muscles have to contract as they're lengthening. That's really hard on them. That is what's going to give you the stiffness and soreness the next day. It's also that much harder to do that when your legs are tired. So if you're more conditioned, you're going to be able to run downhill more efficiently and more comfortably. But also, it's a skill. Learning to run downhill is something you can learn.
There's actually a couple of things also coming on here. So you've got a little bit more impact going through your legs as you hit the ground, and you tend to feel that around your hips. So building upon sort of what James said about the conditioning element, really focus on the hip area to just kind of stabilize that and take that impact. But with the technique, we have actually done some videos on this. In fact, we even did a downhill mile and tried to go under 4 minutes, but
we have to revisit that.
Yeah, have to watch that one. We do need to revisit that one. And what you'll see there is that we kind of are swinging our arms backwards, so there's almost like this counterbalancing going on. It looks weird, but watch any of the top level runners when running downhill, and there is this kind of flailing of the arms going on. So yeah, essentially you just sort of have to get out there, practice it, build the confidence up a bit, and play around with the technique a little bit.
Yeah. Mark looks weird all the time in runs, so it doesn't really make a difference.
Yeah, no change there, really. Next question from Jake Williams. I'm looking to do a bike training plan through the winter on the indoor trainer, but not sure if the sessions and FTP tests should be done on erg mode, or if there's a bigger benefit controlling the power myself. What would you recommend?
Whoa. Well, for those who don't know, erg mode is where your trainer controls your power for you. Basically, you set the power you want to hold, and then all you have to do is control the cadence. It takes a lot of the thinking out of performance on a turbo trainer or on an indoor trainer.
And it's brilliant.
Yeah, brilliant. Except you don't want to use it all the time. So erg mode is something that is a tool for training when you have specific power goals or targets that you need to stick to. It's great, it's brilliant, but you don't want to use it all the time. You do need to get a feel for how to control your own power. You need to get a feel for how to control your own cadence, and make sure that you're keeping that power going and sustaining it both concentration-wise, but also just physically learning how to gauge your effort level and what it feels like.
Particularly when you're doing an FTP test.
Yeah,
we did pick up on that one.
I'm not sure how you actually do an FTP test in erg mode. I mean, if last time you got 270 watts, you just put it on 275 and hang in there.
I mean, it could work.
It could work. I swear, I've never. Yeah, you can't really use it for an FTP test. An FTP test is a test of what you can sustain for an hour maximum. You can obviously simulate that with a shorter effort, but you can't really use erg mode for that. But erg mode is quite a useful tool, but you shouldn't use it all the time. It's about balancing. If you have specific power targets, go ahead and use erg mode.
One session you definitely should switch it off for is those kind of microburst short power sessions where you're trying to find like maximum power, because they're only sort of like 10-20 second bursts or around that sort of duration. If it's suddenly the erg mode trying to ramp up to 500 watts, you are going to feel that. So yeah, maybe switch off for those kind of sessions.
Although the new Wahoo kickers and kicker bikes have easy ramp erg mode.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, good.
It gives you 10 seconds to get up to your power.
Nice. Yeah. Next question from West Pair Runner. Hey guys, just wondering if stopping briefly during a long run for a bathroom break, drink, etc. results in a lesser aerobic benefit. Also, is it a bad idea to fuel during a long run if fat metabolism is what you want to improve?
Okay, one question at a time. The first one, pausing during a long run. Obviously, you want to keep the pauses to a minimum. You are training your aerobic system to sustain that effort level for as long as possible, but you're going to see almost no effect whatsoever, losing any effectiveness in your training by stopping occasionally for a bathroom break or a drink break. it's aerobic training. You can pick it up pretty much straight away. Obviously, if you're doing race pace or something and you're going to stop in those 2 minutes, your heart rate's going to go right down. You're going to completely change your energy systems. That's a different story. You want those sustained efforts to be sustained efforts.
Glad you said that, because that would mean most of my long runs are redundant.
Yeah.
I'm always stopping.
You go 45 minutes in and you stop for a pee and you're basically back at the beginning, start your watch again. No, you don't have to do that. It is cumulative aerobic training, and yes, you can stop for bathroom breaks. Keep them as short as possible though, but yes, you can pause if you need to. Your next question, is it a good idea to not fuel during a long run to build your fat metabolism ability? I'm going to go with no. Yes, there's some benefits to improving your ability to metabolize fat, but only if that is your actual goal, to metabolize fat as quickly as possible, to try and do a session or an event without fuel. If that's not your goal, you're far better off spending that time in the long run teaching your body to absorb fuel from your stomach than you are teaching it to survive without fuel from your stomach, if you know what I mean. You'll get more benefit from being more efficient at absorbing fuel from your stomach than you will from surviving without fuel.
And also, to add to that, if you're trying to do a long run with no fuel, the actual knock-on effect of that and the stress on your body is actually probably going to have more of an impact on the rest of your training, maybe the subsequent day or later that day, the next few days maybe, that actually you'll be way better just fueling for that run and being able to be consistent with your training.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
All right, next question, and it's from Jenny Campbell Ritchie, and she says, great work, well done Heather on the Otilo. I've done a few UK-based swim runs now and I love them. Looking to get into Otilo Engadin next year. Could you answer a question about longer distance runs, keeping your wetsuit fully on? Unzipping, of course, helps you keep cool, gives your ribs more room to breathe, etc. But I'm always interested to see who strips their wetsuit down to the waist for long runs longer than 5Ks, for example. Terrain and temperature are factors, of course, but interesting to see in the video no one had stripped theirs. Wow. I am going to hand this question straight over to Mark because I've never done a swim run in my life.
Yeah, well, sadly Heather's not here today, but I have fortunately done the Otilo Swim Run World Champs a couple of times and others, so I do have some pretty good experience here. And actually, speaking to Heather, they did actually unzip, and I think they may have even stripped down their wetsuits during this, just you didn't see those clips during the video, and a lot of other people will. Now, obviously, this is personal preference and really depends on the conditions. So a couple of times I've raced out in Sweden, and it's actually been quite brisk that whilst you thought you're probably going to get really hot on the long runs, when you came around to it, you're okay to keep them zipped up. So it really is personal preference. But yeah, the sake of taking the wetsuit down over a 5K, you're not going to lose much time by taking it down and putting it back on at either end. And it was all about that management of your heat. You just don't want your core temperature to get up too much, which obviously it could do in a wetsuit. I'm going to say with Engadin, I've heard it's pretty chilly in the water there. And actually a lot of people opt for the longer suits in Engadin rather than the shorter ones that you see in a lot of the others. So I hazard a guess you're probably going to be all right with leaving the wetsuit up, at most maybe just unzipping it.
And there you have your answer. I have nothing to add to that. I'm not sure how long it'll be before they get me to do a swim run, but I'm definitely not doing a cold one.
All right.
Rob Fetty asks, GTN Coaches Corner, we see many videos with the benefits of 80-20 training method. However, how come all we see from the pro YouTube channels and videos are sweat-soaked, high-intensity sets, intervals, threshold sets, and fast, high-power bike rides?
Because that's what sells.
Are the pros following the 80-20 method? Okay, yeah. As Mark says, that's what they want you to see. They want you to see them working their asses off really hard and really straining, and they're only going to show you that stuff. They're not.
And they're playing mind games with the other pros.
Yeah, the hours and hours of low intensity grind that they do around that. It's less exciting. The reality is pros are, for the most part, roughly sticking to the 80-20 rule. What they're doing is 80% of all their training, their whole weekly mileage, is at low intensity. 20% is at high intensity. Now, they might do some high intensity in almost every one of their sessions, but that's all they're filming, that little bit, maybe 10, 15 minutes, as little as that much in a 4-hour ride might be high intensity. That's what they're going to film and put on the YouTube channel, because the rest of it's kind of boring. It's still within the 80-20 rule for the week or for their overall mileage. There is not a lot of benefit for most people to do more than that in their high intensity. And in fact, the pros probably go the other direction and do less high intensity of their total mileage. Because they're doing so much mileage, they can do enough high intensity training with only maybe 10% of their total mileage at high intensity and still get enough high intensity and top up with extra aerobic work, rather than what you've seen, which is the other side. I guess the rule here, or the lesson here, is don't believe everything you see on social media.
Yeah, we do actually have a video where we literally look into this whole 80-20 model and how actually, as an age group athlete, maybe slightly time crunch, doing less training, maybe the 80-20 model needs to be adapted slightly for you. So make sure you check that out. But that is all the questions. Fantastic questions once again. Please keep them coming in using the hashtag GTN Coaches Corner. And if you enjoyed today's video, give it a like.